Hey everyone, it's your boy Seraphim here. Welcome back to the channel. And today's video is gonna be a very special video. Because we're not gonna talk about the next chapter in One Piece. We're not gonna talk about the latest chapter in One Piece. We're gonna be talking about the final chapter in One Piece. And who's gonna be that final villain at the end of the saga. Because ultimately, scientifically, realistically, it's gonna go either one or two ways. It's either gonna be Blackbeard or is it gonna be Emu? LeBron James versus Michael Jordan. Ronaldo versus Messi. You can poop before you pee, but you can't pee before you poop. Or is that the other way around? Because for years now, Blackbeard has been the most obvious choice for the past years by a wide margin. You know, a lot of legitimate One Piece fans thought Blackbeard is gonna be that final guy, Luffy's gonna beat to be the king of the pirates. Because if you're a fan of these types of animes, you probably know who's gonna be the final villain. It's probably gonna be obvious to you, The choice for the final villain is probably pretty simple. But for the last two arcs, I'm at the crossroad here, people. I don't know if I should jaywalk or I should not jaywalk. As a logical person, I would pick Emu. Because come on, all this setup, all this high stakes scenario, it's gonna be Emu. But as an enjoyer of One Piece, as a One Piece content creator, I only upload 3 videos. I really wanted to be Blackbeard. I don't know why, I just got this feeling. Don't ask me about this feeling, but you cannot go wrong with picking, Blackbeard, okay? As that final villain of this saga. But is he enough? A lot of people saying like, oh, he's not enough. The stakes are not high enough. Fuck the stakes. Blackbeard has been with us since literally Drum Island. Ever since his infamous scene in Jaya, I have literally fell in love with Blackbeard. Not in a homo way, but maybe in a homo way, I don't know. He has been set up to be like Luffy's opposite, okay? If you were following, if you're a big fan of Blackbeard with his little part in the story, pre-time skip, ever since his introduction in Jaya with the pineapple pie. Was it pineapple pie? No, it's apple pie, right? He kind of embodies everything Luffy is not. Okay, he's opportunistic, he's ruthless, he's power hungry. Yet, we saw that difference with Luffy. Yet after that scene, when Luffy and Zoro gets beat up in Jaya for thinking the Sky Island exists, Oda sets up Blackbeard with his infamous line of like, oh, dreams may never die. He kind of sets up, Blackbeard to be Luffy's opposite. He kind of sides with Luffy's ideals and, his goals, especially to become king of the pirates. We only have a few Luffy and Blackbeard interactions. I think every time Blackbeard meets Luffy, he kind of leaves Luffy kind of speechless. If you see any of the lines, Impel Down, the Sky PR, every time Blackbeard says something, Luffy kind of goes, As a viewer, every time Blackbeard says something, we know Luffy agrees with that. With the Sky Island, no one believed that the Sky Island was real except Blackbeard. No one thought Luffy's gonna save Ace except Blackbeard. Blackbeard even says like, oh, that might be possible. But still, like, they share the same goal. They share the same ideals. Their approach is vastly different, one is good, one is bad, blah, 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 light and good. But again, this was set up years ago. But right now, obviously with the latest chapters, Egghead, Vegapunk's message, the stakes of One Piece has gotten, as a whole, gotten way higher than before. Here comes the new villain, Emu, to this story, okay? The literally embodiment of oppression. Well, Blackbeard fans as myself, they're gonna say like, oh, Emu is relatively new to the story. So every arc in One Piece, it's kind of like, oh, this Luffy guy wants freedom for everybody. Defeat Crocodile, take control of Alabasta, free Alabasta, take control of Dressrosa, free Dressrosa, kick Doflamingos. But Skypiea, beat Enel, this god, everyone gets their own will back. So the story is basically all about saving people and giving them freedom. And what is Emu? He is literally the embodiment of oppression. World government, all this stuff. If you take it back, Emu has kind of been there since day one because, in Luffy, he's battling the Marines, world government, Emu. So we can kind of see this trend of like, oh, freedom versus control. Luffy is evolving to something more than like a pirate. He's evolving to literally Nika, the guardian, the symbol of liberation. Well, Luffy has not met Imu. Actually, Luffy doesn't even know Imu exists. If you think about it, it doesn't matter because Luffy's ideals are all about, you know, freedom. Imu, on the other hand, he probably desires absolute domination, okay? So who is it gonna be? Like, all these evidence out there, we still don't know who's gonna be the final villain. But I don't think it's Imu. I think it's gonna be Blackbeard. I think they're gonna defeat Imu before Blackbeard, making Blackbeard the final villain in the One Piece saga. Oh, where's the evidence here? Okay, like, you can just pull something out of your, you know, your buttocks. Okay, here's the evidence right here. This panel right here. I don't know if I'm gonna get copyrighted for showing this, but I accept all charges. Here, right here, the panel right here. Imu is seen crumpling Blackbeard and Luffy's wanted posters. So obviously, he's not associated with Blackbeard, and he also hates Blackbeard. This means one or two things. Okay? Firstly, Blackbeard cannot be defeated before Imu, because Imu's arc is probably gonna be like, oh, he's gonna tell about the Void Century, the Will of D, all about the One Piece, the stakes there, you know, probably about Seabeck. All these information kind of relies on Blackbeard being there in the story, you know. Here's where things get really interesting, okay? Some theories out there, some theories, not mine, some theories suggest that Imu will be such a overlying threat to the entire world that Blackbeard and the other 4 Yonkos have to team up with all each other, then to fight the world government. Imagine that, okay? That will be, okay, that's like fan dreams, that's all some fan theories, some fan fiction, some doujins. But imagine that, okay? Not just the 4 Yonkos, maybe 2 Yonkos, like Blackbeard and Luffy. The 2 Yonkos with the Will of D, they fight the very person that threatens the entire world. And maybe because of Luffy's and Blackbeard's ideals, they gotta team up with each other to fight the world government. Something like that. I'm not saying Blackbeard's gonna have this redemption arc. It's gonna be a Naruto thing, like, oh, he's gonna become the Obito, he's gonna become good or something like that. No, it's not. I'm not gonna say that. What if the members of the Will of D, maybe they're destined to like bring liberation to the entire world, to bring freedom, which kind of Luffy and Blackbeard kind of agrees with, since they both share the same ideals. Maybe their approach is very different because their ideals and dreams are obviously the same, so maybe they're looking forward for freedom and destroying this Imu character. But now you're probably wondering what happens to Blackbeard after that. You know, what happens to the whole story? Because Imu is dead, maybe they already have the One Piece. Well, a theory I saw online says that what if after Imu is defeated, Blackbeard eats his fruit? Because let's say Imu has like the opposite of Nika, like Moon God Imu or something like that, like the devil fruit. Let's say it's the most powerful Soen type in existence. Have you heard the popular theory online? Blackbeard's gonna have 3 fruits. After defeating Imu, what if Blackbeard eats his fruit, the most powerful Soen type in existence, giving him the powers of the Moon God, plus Whitebeard's fruit, the most powerful Paramecia, plus the most powerful Logia type in the One Piece world? Look at Blackbeard's flag. It's 3 skulls. What if that's a foreshadowing that Blackbeard's gonna have 3 fruits? And think about this, Blackbeard is gonna have all 3 types of fruits, all the most powerful types in existence. You know the stakes there? And maybe like after that, Luffy and Blackbeard race across the map. Maybe Blackbeard even uses the Abyss to just teleport himself to the One Piece or to Lodestar. And that will make Blackbeard the final villain in One Piece. Again, this is just a theory, who knows? I'm not Oda yet, but you know, wouldn't that be fun? Like all the 4 Yonkos just battle it out in Lodestar. Everyone gets to achieve their dream, and the last dream is to achieve is Luffy's dream. Who knows, man? Again, maybe they form an alliance. Maybe they just happen to be there at the same time and just like, oh, maybe form a pact, a truce, maybe just like an Egghead with Lucci. Again, I don't know. But it would be cool as a One Piece fan, but obviously maybe just too much going on. Too much, obviously, yeah. Let's go with that. That's the end of the video, guys. Do you think Emu or Blackbeard are gonna be the final villains of this saga? It's gonna be Buggy the Clown. You got other answers. Akainu? Any Akainu fans? I don't know. But I love you guys. Real one say it back.